Hello everyone, this is part 2 of What If Naruto was the 10th Jinchuuriki, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Shizune hid at the mouth of the cave. It had taken her a while to find where they were. It had been Tonton who had found them in the end. I wonder how they found this place. I don't think even Tsunade-sama knows of this. What should I do? As expected of these two, they've guarded the entrance with seals to keep anyone out. I need to do something to test them further. For Tsunade's wish to be fulfilled. That Kakashi, wanting them to confess their love for each other. Tsunade-sama needs focused shinobi in Konoha. If they did end up together, it would be a hazard in missions. The Kunoichi thought for a while, then clicked her fingers. That would work. Sorry Tsunade-sama, but I'm going against you on this one. For once I'm doing it my way. She stuck the small pieces of paper to the cave mouth and left. There. Oh, I hope there's nothing dangerous in that cave. I'm sure they can handle it. See you in Konoha, guys. Oh no. Sakura sighed the next morning. She'd woken up and dressed before Naruto and was now fully clothed and equipped while he rubbed his eyes, having just opened them. His tousled blonde hair pointing every which way as he sat up and looked at his friend. What's wrong, Sakura-chan? She turned to him with her hands on her hips, quite clearly pissed off. We've been sealed in. What? Sealed in? But how? He jumped out of the bed and ran over to the cave entrance, only to be stopped in his tracks by the seal on the other side. Sakura punched the wall in frustration. Her fist almost reached the other side of the wall but was stopped by the seal. Damn. She punched it again. Damn. 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 So they're still testing us. Naruto picked up his Konoha headband and tied it around his head. We'll have to find a different way out, I guess. The girl relaxed and smiled apologetically at him. Yeah, sorry I got so worked up. One of us had to, I guess. She smiled, and so did Naruto. Only 2 years ago he'd been so easily riled that it got in the way of missions countless times. He wasn't kidding anyone, he still got frustrated easily and could get extremely impulsive sometimes, but he had matured and mellowed down a little, and he could think out the consequences of his actions, even if he ignored them. It had to be said though, Sakura would only freak out in situations where there was no danger, and in the field she kept her cool and used tactics. Now she was older though, she'd fight more too. Naruto got up and went to get dressed while Sakura examined the cave mouth. Once the blonde ninja was ready, they sat down together and discussed their options. They didn't notice a pair of red eyes watching them from the dark recesses of the cave. Tsunade and Shizune sat together on the balcony of the Hokage building. The blonde woman was idly checking her scratch cards and pouring yet another cup of sake for herself. So I sealed them inside. Shizune glanced at her friend and mistress cautiously, but there were no visible signs of wrath on the woman's face as she put her hand to Tonton's head and petted it absent-mindedly. That was unusually risky for you, Shizune. I'm surprised at you. The female Hokage smiled. It sounds like something I'd have done. You're gambling with their lives, a cave we didn't know about. There of all places. She sipped at her sake after finishing all of her scratch cards. None of them had won. That was a relief. Bad things happened when Tsunade won. Her two sweet kiddies were okay. For now at least. She did have a sort of maternal love thing going on with those two. She couldn't help it. She got up and walked back into the office. I just wish that I could go on those missions too, damned office job. I give those two 5 days before we go to search for them. She called back. So I guess it's our only option. Sakura agreed. Getting up from her place on the floor and dusting herself off, she looked at the seemingly impenetrable blackness at the back of the cave and sighed. She could feel a heavy weight in the pit of her stomach. Something was wrong somehow. And now they were going to explore it. Can't wait. I bet. You'll get lost, you know, and then you'll be nothing but a burden to Naruto, something worthless. Just like before. Stop it. He'll wish he'd never come back, never been put on the same team as you. Stop it. Then who knows? Maybe you two will find something in that tunnel, maybe you'll hold him back, and he'll get hurt protecting you. Maybe you won't be able to heal him. I said stop it. You're in my head, but you're not me, you're not. I know that I've improved, you just want me to depend on you. If we do get into trouble then I'll help Naruto, not be a problem, not anymore. You really think I'm not you? Maybe I'm the real you, the one who's trying to voice the truth. Nope, I don't believe that. Not anymore. The girl picked up a torch and held it up to illuminate the tunnel that they had decided to follow. Naruto stood by her side. Here goes nothing, you ready? Sure Sakura-chan. Let's get out of this crappy mountain. He looked annoyed and Sakura understood. He didn't like being trapped. They both advanced into the darkness. Phew, this place is really cold. Naruto thought, shaking in his orange jacket. He glanced at his companion in concern. She wasn't wearing anything you'd call warm. But she didn't seem the least bit cold. In fact, her face was slightly flushed and she had a look of impatient determination on her face. Her green eyes were shimmering slightly and she was breathing slowly. She looks completely unaffected by the cold. Is that some sort of medical ninjutsu? No kid, she's just in more control of herself than you could ever hope to be. Honestly, you're useless. Never heard of mind over matter. She's not letting herself be cold. Not letting herself. No, she's controlling her body temperature with the power of her mind, a handy technique, and it uses up minuscule amounts of chakra. That Hokage woman must have taught it her. The girl has a good mind. I gotta say I wish she was my Jinchuuriki. Hey, about what you said before. About hurting her. You can't really do anything, can you? I mean, you're sealed securely, right? Hey, you listening? Hey, Bayu, don't, please. Even if you ever break out somehow, or gain control. Don't hurt her. You owe me. I'm your landlord, right? Don't start, kid. Naruto took that for as close an assurance as he was going to get, so he sighed in something close to relief. He wondered how Sakura would react if she knew that he could talk to the QB monster inside him, and since recently, they'd been having uncomfortably lengthy conversations. She'd probably get freaked out. Talking to people, or monsters, in your head, that was something only crazy people did, right? Ironic really, because at that moment, Sakura was thinking the same thing, about her inner person. The friends really were more alike than they realized. Sakura controlled her breathing and kept her mind open as they walked steadily through the darkness. She couldn't help feeling troubled at this constant darkness. Were they walking down a ramp? It felt like it. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. It's so dark and cold here, it's difficult to believe that it's still morning outside. She glanced at Naruto. He was shaking with the cold. Obviously Jiraiya hadn't taught him to manage his own body temperature the way Tsunade had taught Sakura. Maybe she should teach him at some point, maybe she should do it now. They didn't exactly have much else to do. Sakura-chan, I noticed that you're not cold. Naruto said, between shaking and his teeth chattering. He swore it got colder with every step he took. Yeah, and I noticed that you were cold. Naruto, do you want me to teach you how to control your body temperature? Tsunade-sama taught me how. She punched his arm lightly, and started to explain the theory behind mind over matter. After an hour or two, it was difficult to tell in the tunnel. Naruto had grasped the basics and could keep himself warmish, as long as he concentrated quite hard. He was putting this to use as they kept walking, and Sakura found herself slowing the pace so that she could make sure he didn't trip or fall over while he was concentrating on keeping warm. It still takes him a little while to grasp new concepts, but his improvement is remarkable. Since the last time we learnt a new technique together, he's improved in his learning abilities. I have to say, it's definitely a relief. How are you doing? She asked, as they turned a corner to the right. Naruto grinned and rubbed his head. I think it's getting easier, I'm putting less and less effort into it, but the results are the same. He gave her a thumbs up and she nodded. Oh good. Wait, what was that noise? They both stopped and listened to the distant tapping. It sounded like something knocking against wood. Both ninjas took out some shuriken and crept onwards. Sakura extinguished the torch and they headed towards the noise, relying only on their sense of hearing as a guide, moving slowly so as not to trip or bump into anything. A faint light was just visible in the distance, so they crouched down and approached with caution, Sakura leading since, she thought, she could easily dodge a surprise attack, giving Naruto time to go all cage bunshin on their assailants. Suddenly the tunnel was filled with a bright light and strangely shaped blades came spinning towards them. Sakura and Naruto had already jumped up to avoid any attack and they ran along the ceiling, presenting a more difficult target while their eyes got over the flash of light. Was this still part of the test? The tunnel shook violently like a severe earthquake. Sakura jumped back to the floor and with a shock realized that she was now in a shallow pool of water. Her eyes adjusted enough to make out a figure standing about 8 feet away from her. She threw a shuriken at it which was easily dodged. She blinked several times. Where was Naruto? The water directly in front of her burst upwards and she ran backwards, not on the surface of the water as she wanted to conserve her chakra. Her vision cleared enough and she saw that the man in front of her was holding his arm high. Oh God, please, no. She knew that man too well. She had the face carved into her mind so clearly. She gritted her teeth in determination, knowing the outcome of this battle, which it would go in his favor. But she'd be damned before she let him get out of it unscathed. So it looks like you're still after Naruto, huh? Uchiha Itachi. She threw her other shuriken at him and ran at him with a kunai drawn, which, after dodging the shuriken, he easily batted out of her hand. She grabbed his wrist and brought forward her other hand which was curled into a fist. Her fist connected with his shoulder and she heard bones break. She grinned in satisfaction. He had so clearly underestimated her. If he'd been sufficiently alert, he could have easily countered that attack. But something was still on her mind. Where is Naruto? Don't tell me that other Akatsuki guy has him. Kiss him. No, Naruto wouldn't be taken so easily. She dodged a fist and took care not to look Itachi in the eyes, or even at any of his skin. In case he caught her in that illusion world of his. At least I've hurt him now. If this is it, I'm glad I got him. She knew the instant that he caught her. A subtle change in the light of the cave alerted her to it. She closed her eyes in annoyance. So quickly. I got caught so quickly. She looked him in the eyes. How long will this one last? His red eyes narrowed. So you noticed. That is, not a problem. She was shocked out of the illusion by a small amount of foreign chakra. Naruto had instantly caught hold of her and pulled her out of the illusion. I'm sorry I took a while getting here, Sakura-chan. He pulled his forehead protector down over his eyes. He reached out and did the same to Sakura, who was lying on her back in the water. She stood up and turned to face Itachi. Time to put into practice a new technique the two had thought up with Kakashi. They both sent out tendrils of chakra and caught hold of Itachi. Now they would always know where he was, as long as they could hold up this exhausting technique. Itachi stood still though. Unsheathing a katana he laughed softly. The Jinchuuriki is mine, he whispered. His voice sent chills down Sakura's spine and Naruto bit his lip, drawing B. They were both terribly afraid. They knew where Itachi was, but, now that their eyes were bound, they couldn't see the area around them. Itachi still had the advantage over them. Sakura stood firm. She would not flee, she would not lose, and, most importantly, she would not let the Akatsuki have Naruto. Even if the worst happened and she failed, she would not give up, even if the Bayu was extracted and Naruto's. Well, she'd watched Elder Chio's technique very carefully. As I said before, I'd give my life to protect him. As my closest friend, I will not let him s. Yes, we will protect our friends with our lives as shinobi. Hell yeah, girl. Let's go. I swear, Itachi, I will never let you get him. She said in a low, dangerous tone. You think that you can stop me? The QB is mine already. How fortunate that you both happened by my home today. I've been contemplating my next attempt on the QB, but now I see there is no point in planning. He always comes to us first. Why you sick bastard? Naruto yelled, and Sakura could feel waves of chakra emanating from him. She prayed that he would remain calm, that he'd remain in control. His anger could be so fearsome when it was truly unleashed. This is what Kakashi had warned her about. He'd given her that little seal for if it got out of control. But, Itachi murmured, what should I do with you, little girl? He laughed, and Naruto got even angrier. How should I deal with you? Maybe I'll take you alongside the Jinchuuriki, make you watch it s. Quote. Naruto could feel his bee heating up, raging inside of him. Maybe, after that. Oh, I don't know, should I let you live? Keep you until little brother finds me. Make you watch him s too. Then that man, Kakashi. I could do so much to K you, but I think that your physical death should wait until you're completely broken inside. He laughed that laugh again. Or maybe I'll K you here, now. Yes, I don't think that you'd be worth all that effort. I'll K you now, and make the Jinchuuriki watch. You can't really stop me, you've become blind, relying on your chakra strings, like a puppet master but weaker, and they only tell you where I am. You can't stop me. Naruto couldn't take much more of this taunting, he wasn't in the mood to chat. He let out an inhuman roar and charged at the Uchiha, who easily deflected the attack, even with his shattered right shoulder bone. Sakura threw 2 shuriken at his injured side and Itachi jumped out of the way. Sakura felt the waves of red chakra coming from her teammate who pursued their enemy, and knew that it was happening. She removed her blindfold and looked up at the roof of the cave. She was right. They were in a large cavern of some sort, standing in an underground lake, still inside the mountain. Itachi and Naruto were fighting each other, both hanging upside down from the high roof, leaving Sakura forgotten beneath them. Naruto was bathed in red chakra, already showing 2 red demon tails. Her eyes widened. She had to stop this. In this state, he may well defeat Itachi, who was already weakened, but the cost was too great. She had to force the chakra back, and even with only 2 tails out of 9, it would leave him exhausted. The orange blur darted at Itachi, whose usually passive eyes widened in something resembling fear. The Jinchuuriki was so fast. He'd known that this one could access the powers to a certain extent, but this was unprecedented. It seemed that when it was riled, the Jinchuuriki would become possessed by the Bayu inside. I wonder how they force it back in. They locked themselves in mortal combat. And this time, Itachi was the one at the disadvantage. He wasn't allowed to K the Jinchuuriki, and he didn't have that sort of power, and he was the only one seriously injured. Another tail emerged from the Jinchuuriki. Itachi knew defeat when he saw it. His Mangekyo Sharingan wouldn't trap a Bayu. He ran away. Come back here, you coward! Naruto shouted, his voice tinged with a demon roar. He began to chase after Itachi, but his path was blocked by a pink-haired girl. Her green eyes narrowed at him in determination. She put something on his forehead just as he threw her out of the way. The girl crashed into the cavern's wall and Naruto could feel his anger receding, ebbing away as his eyes closed slowly. Why was he so tired? They fell into the shallow lake at opposite sides of the cavern. As Naruto's eyes closed completely, he was vaguely aware that somewhere inside himself, he was crying. Tsunade gasped in horror. She put a hand to her heart and closed her eyes. The scratch card that she had been holding fell from her hand, joining several more, all of them wins. Shizune! She yelled at the top of her voice. The pale girl ran in instantly. What is it, Tsunade-sama? She panted, then stopped when she noticed the winning scratch cards. Oh, that's wonderful. It reminds me of the time you won on those fruits machines. Right before that fight with Orochimaru, so, this means that Naruto-kun and Sakura-chan are in trouble. She frowned in sadness. Send Anbu to the cave now. I don't blame you for this, Shizune, I swear. Yes, mistress. Shizune ran to get Anbu. You may not, mistress, but I do. Sakura regained consciousness slowly. God, my head is me. She tried to get up but whimpered in pain. She had a damaged spine, 3 broken ribs, and a crushed left arm, from what she could tell. She concentrated and slowly gathered up enough chakra to heal herself. It would take some time, but she didn't need to do that much. Just enough to be able to walk and check on Naruto. He wouldn't on her watch. She smiled grimly and licked some bee from the side of her mouth. Her teammates came before herself. That was the purpose of a medic ninja. She got up slowly, testing her feet and how much control she had over her own body. She looked over to the orange figure lying face up in the water. At least he was face up. She healed herself as she limped towards her friend. When she reached his side, she fell to her knees and lifted his head into her lap. He was unconscious, as she'd feared. She gently peeled the seal off his headband and pulled the black band up from his eyes to rest once again on his forehead. She stroked his cheek with a sad smile and concentrated on the healing. After what seemed an age, he began to stir. His eyelids fluttered once before closing again. Sakura patted him slightly. Don't try to open your eyes yet, I'm still healing you, Barker Naruto. She dashed some tears from her eyes before he tried to open his again. Honestly, making me worry about you again. I hope that this won't become a habit. Damn straight. Quiet, I'm just glad he's awake. What? You're the one who said it first. What the hell are you saying? Kiss him. You heard me, the Akatsuki leader just found out himself. There is a 10th Jinchuuriki. No. The other part, the part about who it is. Itachi caught the cloak of his friend in his fury. You should have told me this earlier. The 10th Jinchuuriki is the 10-tailed Bayu, the inner child. It's been missing for many years, and has been passed down through generations. The Sakura. It is Kyuubi's teammate. And to think, I almost it. Naruto tried to open his eyes again, his entire body was soaking wet, he must have fallen into the lake. He looked up but could only see bright light, he blinked several times but couldn't focus at all, so he closed his eyes again and sighed. How had he gotten here? Oh yes, that's it. He'd been fighting Itachi in that brightly lit cave with the lake, that must be where he was now. And then he'd felt so angry it was unbelievable, it was like when he was fighting Gaara all those years ago. Then, oh yes, he'd felt the Kyuubi's control for a bit, and how many tails came out? How much control had he lost? He could remember something of that time, but what? What happened? I remember. I had a tail of the Kyuubi's. You don't want to know, kid. What happened? You're not strong enough to protect her. Who? Oh. No. He tried to open his eyes again, it was easier this time, and he could focus a little better. There was a hand moving over his head, with green chakra emanating from it, healing chakra. He was being healed. Now that he thought about it, he was feeling less pain with every second that passed. Sakura. Sakura-chan. His voice was hoarse, and it grated along his teeth as he said it. He knew this feeling, the Kyuubi had possessed him again. Yes, Naruto, I'm here. You had a few tails, but I used Kakashi's seal and well. You collapsed. She shifted on her heels slightly, the water was freezing cold, she had to get them both to dry land as soon as possible. Sakura-chan, did I? I don't really remember much. Did I do anything to you? No. She smiled. As if I'd let you. I know, but when I'm like that, he stopped. He'd never really discussed the Kyuubi with Sakura before. And then he sat up straight and grabbed her by the shoulders, causing her to wince. I did this, didn't I? I knew it. He crashed back to the floor and put his hands over his face. I'm so sorry. I really. No. It wasn't you, Naruto, it wasn't. The fact that you can only partially remember is proof. It was an accident of the Kyuubi's, that's all, brought out because you didn't want Itachi to hurt your friend. She narrowed her eyes at him. Now keep still and let me heal you. He gave up, he couldn't defy her in this state. He couldn't defy her in any state. She used the green chakra to heal him completely, he had some sprains, bruises, the odd broken bone from the fall, and she healed them all. He could feel himself becoming stronger again, and he looked at her again. He couldn't believe what he'd done. Her cheek had split open, she had severe bruising on her face, and her arms and legs were covered with and bruises varying in severity. Her top had torn across her left shoulder and her boots were torn as well. How was there so much damage? How had the Kyuubi done so much without him realizing? He saw her wince again and roll her shoulder before continuing the healing, he looked away. The medic ninjas, he knew, weren't common, and yet they healed other teammates before themselves. He felt the Kyuubi stir and ignored it. He didn't trust himself to speak to it. If he'd done something to hurt her this badly, why had the Kyuubi stopped? Sakura-chan. How did it happen? I'll tell you after, I need to concentrate. Her forehead was beginning to perspire with effort. She was coming within reach of her limit. Stop now, Sakura-chan, I'm fine. She shook her head. Not yet. Please stop, Sakura-chan. Please. He took a hold of her wrists and sat up in the water, keeping his face averted. Don't heal me anymore. She looked at the back of his head in vague surprise, then lowered her head to look down at the water. I don't blame you, Naruto. Not for anything. She got up, pulling out of his grasp, and walked away from him, towards the edge of the lake. I really don't. How can you not blame me? Naruto asked, his voice trembling. This fight, they came after me, I'm the one who couldn't control the Kyuubi which hurt you. I've hurt you a lot. I can't help it, I just keep failing you, in every way. I'm the one who couldn't bring him back for you. He ended up shouting, still facing the other way, kneeling in the water with clenched fists trembling. And I'm the one who made you promise. I shouldn't have done that, put you in that position. You had other things to take care of. How can you not blame me? I've hurt you too, Naruto, too much. They were both silent for some time, neither wanting to turn and face the other. It seemed too invasive to look and see each other. Then they looked, and smiled a little, because they knew what it was to be forgiven, and to forgive. They had never even thought of blaming each other, but forgiveness was needed or else they could never move on from the dark memories and pains holding them back. Forgiveness was needed, and given readily. Kisame hauled his sword onto his shoulder and glared at Itachi with his shark-like eyes. Then we'd better go now, while they're recovering from that fight. Ah, my shoulder. You can manage, right? Or are you too weak? Itachi glared at his Akatsuki partner coldly. I'll manage. Come on, Naruto, we'd better get somewhere dry. Sakura-chan, can I ask you something? He said, while pulling himself up to a standing position. The girl turned in surprise. Is this about our new teammate? Ah, no. She carried on walking to the edge of the lake. Go on then, Naruto, spit it out. Do you still believe that you're worthless? She stopped and stood still, facing the wall. How should she answer that? She didn't even think that she knew the answer herself. Do I still believe that I'm worthless? I think you are. You're not me. Touché. I don't. Not worthless. Anymore. She reached the water's edge and sat on a ledge of rock, leaning against the wall and looking at her hands. Tsunade-sama, Elder Chio, and you, Naruto, you all seem to believe that I'm stronger than I am, but I'm not weak anymore, so while I may not be proud, I am satisfied. She remembered Elder Chio's last words to her, that she would become a greater Kunoichi than her master. That wasn't likely, but it gave her hope, that someday, maybe she could call herself a good ninja. Elder Chio had seen something inside her, she just needed to know what. I hope that you will be proud again soon, Sakura-chan. She looked up and saw him standing before her, completely sincere if a little embarrassed. Like before. Before, when she'd been completely conceited about her own intelligence. When in reality she'd been useless. How could anyone want that person back? Maybe, was all she said, but her clenched fists and angry eyes, carefully hidden from him, said different. Sai wasn't happy. Not unusual, but that woman, the Hokage, had sent his new team on a test mission. He reflected on that conversation with Kakashi. Start flashback. Well, Sai, it seems that those two were needed for that mission. Only those two, we can't help that, can we? Sai's expressionless eyes regarded the older man coldly. You think I'm not joining them? Well, I assumed that Godime Hokage wouldn't want you going. Why on earth would that be? Didn't she tell you the reason for this test of hers? It's to integrate me into their little friendship and to put me in the team with ease. As he'd left, he'd seen Kakashi's visible eye glare at him with real force. Oh well. End flashback. And now he was entering the stupid cave in the mountain. F this, if they don't like me, why does that B Hokage want me to do this? It doesn't change anything. He peeled off the seals and entered the cave, sighing. Those two really were useless, he didn't like it at all, that irritating boy, that idiotic girl, they were too emotional, letting their search for that Sasuke bastard drive them. He wasn't worth anything, he'd betrayed the village. We'd better head out, I think it's that tunnel. Naruto pointed to one of two tunnels. I think the other one's the one we came in through. Sakura nodded. Yes, I think you're right. But stay alert for Akatsuki members, at least, Itachi must still be around somewhere. They both stood up, still wet from the lake, but controlling the cold as best they could. Sakura grimaced in pain as they walked. Damn, this hurts, if only I had more chakra left. You're such an idiot, you know that. You should have healed yourself more. I didn't know how serious Naruto's injuries were, I had to check first. What about once you saw that his were less serious than your own? You're losing B, you could K us both here, girl. We won't S Barker. Who's the Barker? Sakura. Are you alright? You're B. Sakura looked down and was surprised at the fact that the wound on her shoulder had opened up again. B was slowly running down her torso. It was quite deep really, she brought her hand up to heal it but found that she was pretty much out of chakra. She concentrated hard, it wouldn't do to be to death, running out of chakra would temporarily disable her but be out would be worse. I'm fine, Naruto, see. Healed. She swayed slightly. It's nothing to worry, Abu. Naruto caught her arm as she fell, keeping her from hitting the ground. Ah. He looked at the unconscious girl dangling from his grasp by her wrist. Quickly scooping her up, he carefully put her over his shoulder and continued to walk. There's gotta be a way out soon. Come on, Sakura-chan, come on. A shadow moved in the corner of his eye. He jumped round to face an assailant, but there was nothing. Phew. He sighed, the weight lifted off his shoulder. The boy spun round suddenly to come face to face with cold, dark, distant eyes, and hair black as night. Sasuke. Sasusai. It's you. Naruto blinked in surprise at the sudden appearance of this hated face. He looked to see that Sakura was now slung over Sai's shoulder and growled slightly in distaste. What are you doing? Give her back. He went to punch the boy, but Sai caught his hand inches before contact. As if that would do me any damage. Not only do you lack the balls, but you're weak from some sort of fight. But I doubt that you could get her into this state. She has what you lack. Sai turned and started to walk off. When Naruto didn't follow instantly, he paused and looked back. You can't carry her for much longer. Look at you. Pathetic. He continued onwards until Naruto growled deep in his tea. Why are you here? Granny Tsunade didn't say anything about you or Yamato coming along. I don't know anything about Yamato. Now are we getting out of here or not? Why are you helping her? Hokage-sama told me to come and assist both of you in this test of your abilities to work as a team. Evidently, No and Sakura aren't very good. I encountered no insurmountable problems coming here. We had to fight Itachi. From Akatsuki US. Naruto yelled. And you let the girl take the hits. So much for your S-bonds. Sai scorned him. That's not it. I was unconscious, and before I knew it she'd used up all her chakra healing me. I wouldn't have let her if I'd known. He yelled. Sai continued walking away. Like I care. Why would she waste time doing that? Sai wondered. It's completely pointless. Like something brother would have done. Why am I carrying her for that matter? Am I helping her for my own sake? For his? Stop thinking these stupid ideas. He could tell that Naruto was pissed at him, but he couldn't care less. When the girl regained consciousness, he would put her down, but until then, she needed to be carried or left behind, and Sai had a feeling that Naruto would not leave her behind. Sai, is that you carrying me? The voice took him by surprise. She was awake. He dropped her in his shock and she landed heavily on her side. Ouch. Sai stopped speaking before he could apologize to the girl. What was the point? It's okay, Sai, it's not that bad. Sakura gasped in pain as she sat up and Naruto flew to help her. Well, okay, it's pretty bad, but I can walk. She laughed gently and patted Naruto's arm, which helped her up. Really, Naruto, if I'm conscious I can walk. Neither of the boys noticed that her eyes were shimmering as she mentally flayed herself at her own weakness. I'm weak, after all this time and training. I'm still the weakest one. I'm not worthless, just a pain. Sakura-chan. Naruto's worried face was before her. Are you sure you can walk? She avoided his eyes. He thought she was strong, but while she may be good as a shinobi, she would never be strong at heart. I can walk, Naruto, of course, don't worry so much. She pushed away his hand and stood up shakily herself. Her companion watched her carefully. I'm not convinced, Sakura-chan, let me help you, for me. She sighed and nodded assent. He took her arm and looped it round his neck, supporting her as she walked. Thank you, Naruto. Anytime, Sakura-chan. He grinned. Sai cleared his tea. Very touching. He murmured sarcastically, I think that the entrance is not too far off now, we should reach the base of the mountain at the exit. Ah, so we were on a ramp. Then let's go, now we've got our only medic ninja with super strength awake again. Naruto began to move, pulling Sakura alongside. She sighed. Always with the super strong medic ninja. Medic ninja with super strength. Sai said monotonically, but making it clear that it was a question. Sakura and Naruto both looked at him in surprise. He was interested. Naruto drew himself up, proud of his friend's abilities, and willing to share them. Sakura-chan is Granny Tsunade's student, so she's now an amazing medical ninja too. She's also really strong and clever. Okay, I knew that she was the Hokage's pupil, but that's it. Sakura said nothing, just kept walking. Her two teammates fell silent and they all walked together, speeding up slightly as the ground leveled out. Naruto tightened his grip on Sakura's wrist and sighed as they turned a blind corner. Daylight. They'd been traveling inside the mountain now for only half a day, but it felt like weeks. Naruto, Sakura said in a low voice, so that only he could hear. She had to ask him this. It seemed important somehow. Why did you carry me? She looked at his face, slightly higher than hers. He was looking at her intently, patiently, unusual. Waiting for her to elaborate, the answer was so simple, hadn't she figured it out? I could have walked after a few minutes. Sai turned his head slightly for the answer, once again showing interest in whatever it was the other two were saying. Naruto looked up at Sai, then looked back at Sakura, a weak sort of smile on his face. Can I tell you later? Sakura blinked but nodded and they kept going. In the very distance, straight ahead, there was some light. Finally, Naruto laughed, his previous earnestness forgotten as he started to speed up. Sakura couldn't hold back a small intake of breath as her leg twitched in pain. Naruto immediately slowed down, careful to make sure that Sakura was all right. She removed her hand from round his shoulder despite him trying to keep it there, and she stepped away from him. You go, I'll catch up. Naruto furrowed his brow in a slight show of anger. A shinobi never leaves his comrade behind. He crouched in front of her, offering his back. Sai stopped walking and watched this with slight amusement. Sakura sighed wearily. Fine. She put her arms round his blushing slightly, and he put his arms round her legs to support her, then stood up and ran towards the light. Good. If he'd tried to put his hands anywhere near I'd have hit him. Yeah, right. As always, shut up. Sai ran slightly behind them, keeping an eye out for any traps set up by Akatsuki, if Naruto was to be believed. Though he didn't seem to be a liar. Meanwhile, Naruto was thinking hard about his answer to Sakura's question, what to say. He could repeat his earlier sentiments, about how a shinobi never leaves his comrade behind, but that wouldn't work, it didn't fit. He wouldn't have been leaving her behind. The reason was, that I didn't want her to wake up in the darkness. She doesn't belong there. Can I tell her that? Will she hate me for it? Or laugh? Or thank me? Itachi and Kisame watched them head for the opening, not moving. You didn't tell me that there was a root Anbu with them. Kisame growled, glaring at the Uchiha next to him, who simply grunted in displeasure. They kept to the shadows as the three Konoha shinobi left their mountain. What do we do now that Konoha knows of this passageway? And that we were here? Kisame murmured, it's your former village, what do you think? We don't know how well known this tunnel is, we should block off all entrances and clear out the cells. We're relocating. You deal with the children, and I'll sort out the relocation. Fine, if they're still alive when you return, help out a little, eh? You don't think you'll cope alone? I don't think we should underestimate these three. Oh wow. Sakura sighed as they emerged into the light. Where are we? This is somewhere else I've never heard of. Yeah, it's amazing. Naruto set her down and they all walked into the middle of the grassy area. Sai too had to admit that this place was beautiful. Surrounded by mountain, there was this walled, ornamental garden with a small lake, a wooden bridge going out to a traditional-looking red island sitting area. There was a lot of grass, scented flowers and sakura trees in full bloom. Soft pink petals slowly falling onto the grass and stone pathway leading up to the bridge. Sai narrowed his eyes. Someone's been living here, I'll go check it out. Naruto, make sure that Sakura's in a fit state to fight if we have to. Go to that island area to recuperate. Sure. Naruto picked Sakura up again and carried her over to the island. She rolled her eyes in exasperation, but didn't protest. As he put her down on a cushion, she leaned against the red wooden fencing around the artificial island, looking at the trees in the garden. No matter how many petals fall, the flowers always bloom again. That's what you say, isn't it, Dad? That's why I'm called Sakura, right? Naruto sat directly opposite her and folded his legs under him. Sakura-chan, have you got enough chakra to heal yourself now? He glanced around them to check for enemies, while Sakura used her chakra sparingly to heal the larger wounds. When the major problems were healed and all she was left with was smaller see and bruising, she sighed a little and stopped. If enemies were nearby, she needed to be able to fight. Ha! She sighed, stretching a little where she sat. Naruto smiled a little, his eyes relaxed and kind. All done. Sure. Should we help Sai? She stood up, resting on the fencing, looking over the lake. It seemed peaceful, it was difficult to imagine that Akatsuki were close by. I think he's got it pretty much covered, this is a safe enough looking place to set up base anyways. Naruto came to stand next to her, and a sakura petal fell onto his shoulder. The girl brushed it off quickly and drew out some exploding tags and wire. Let's make it a safer base though, can't be too prepared. She handed him some of the wire and tags, indicating for him to help set up some traps. It won't catch Itachi or the Kisame guy, but it should buy us time if they attack. He began to string some of the wire up. Oh, and Naruto. Yes, you didn't tell me why you carried me. He turned and looked at her in surprise, blue eyes wide as they met her green ones. He'd forgotten about that. Ah, what do I say? Sorry Naruto, I'd just like to know. But it's okay, it doesn't matter. She hastily turned away and busied herself setting up some traps. What the hell am I doing? I'm thinking about this tiny issue too much. Damn it. Damn, it's right. I'm so bored right now I could K someone. You're a K. For someone who shares a body, you really don't know me very well, do ya? I'm glad. What was that you just said? So you wouldn't wake up in that place? Wah. Sakura turned to see her blonde friend resting against the fence, looking at her seriously. She faltered, what had he said? I carried you so that when you came round, it wouldn't be in the darkness. That's all, sorry if it offends you or something, it seemed like the only thing I could do. She brought a hand to her mouth in hesitation. Offend me, she murmured. How could that offend me? That's so nice of you, Naruto. Thank you. She went up to him and hugged him tightly. This boy, he's so considerate and kind, always saving me, saving everyone. There's no one else quite like him in the world, of that I'm sure. He risks his life repeatedly for everybody in Konoha, no, not just Konoha. Almost everyone he meets he'll protect. Thank you, she said again, still hugging him. Not just for that. You've always been this way, haven't you? You've helped me so many times, and I can't ever thank you enough. Naruto's eyes were wide, he hadn't expected any of this, she was hugging him. Hugs weren't very common from Sakura, there must be something else on her mind. But despite the fact that he was undeniably concerned about her, he thought he might as well enjoy the hug while it lasted, so he put his arms around her too. They stayed that way for a while, not even realizing that time was passing, though after a few minutes, Naruto lifted his head from Sakura's shoulder and rested it on her head, looking at the trees on land. It was so peaceful here, and to be here with her was amazing. It didn't matter that she would never love him, he would bring back Sasuke, and she would be happy then, she deserved all the happiness it was possible to give. I'll bring him back, Sakura-chan. He smiled, and was surprised when she shook her head and moved away quickly, turning away and clenching her fists by her side. Don't, Naruto. We'll bring him back together, but I don't want him back the way that you think. Why can't you see? She paused, shocked at her own outburst. Then continued slowly, carefully choosing her words. I don't love Sasuke anymore. I still want to bring him back. But I want him back as a lost comrade, a lost friend. Not as I don't love him now. She stopped and slowly turned to look at Naruto. Her eyes desperately asking for some kind of recognition of what she was saying. He was looking at her, definitely confused. You don't love him? He asked uncertainly, not sure how to respond. How could he make her happy now? What was she trying to say? No, Naruto, not anymore. Why? Naruto still couldn't get his head round it. She'd spent almost her whole life in love with Sasuke, what had changed her mind? Her heart. She sighed and walked back to him, kissed him on the lips. After a moment of shock, Naruto, finally, understood, and felt his heart leap in his sea, and he kissed her back. Kisame kept in the shadows, waiting for Sai to join him again. It would be stupid to attack when there was a chance of being surprised by a separate attack from the other team member. Hey, Naruto grinned. Sakura grinned back, blushing slightly, she rested her head on his shoulder and closed her eyes. To be like this, it had taken her too long to realize what she felt for him. Looking back, it was easy to see that she'd felt this for a long time. But then, it's always easier when looking back. What to say? To ruin the moment. You're such a sap. I'm allowed, it's Naruto. He's always been there, he's always seen the best in me, and that's made me who I am. When training with Tsunade-sama, It was thinking about him that drove me. I can't believe it took me so long to figure it out. He's strong, kind, hyperactive, annoying, clumsy, and perfect. Oh dear God, don't rant. I can't take it. Hey, take it be. Naruto laughed softly, bringing a hand up to her head and stroking her hair gently. I never thought. You never think, Sakura said quickly, and Naruto laughed. That's harsh, Sakura-chan. I was going to say that I never thought you'd ever like me like that, and that was what I thought even before you found out about the QB. Sakura frowned. Why would that stop me? Honestly, Naruto. He hugged her tightly. I love you, Sakura-chan, for so long. She stroked his cheek with her finger. I love you, Naruto, so much. You too. Sai was standing about 3 feet away, raising his eyebrows. Shouldn't there be some traps? You guys are a bit vulnerable to attack, huh? As he said these words, a sword with several small blades covering it came crashing down on the place where Sakura and Naruto had been standing just before they dodged it. Damn it, Sakura muttered. Typical. Naruto frowned. Sai grunted. All three stood ready to fight the shark-like Akatsuki member. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.